the silent empire. In the quiet of the British suburbs, among the neat townhouses and the measured pace of life, an operation was hidden whose scale and audacity would have stunned even the most seasoned investigators. This was not a story of bloody turf wars or boastful gangsters flaunting their wealth. This was the story of an invisible empire built on the principles of corporate efficiency, discipline, and absolute secrecy. For 408 days, this network, like a perfectly tuned machine, moved the highest purity cocaine from sunny Dubai to rainy cities across the United Kingdom. Daily revenues reached £400,000, and the total turnover exceeded $165 million. They believed their system was invulnerable, their methods flawless, and their communications an impenetrable fortress. But a single crack in the digital foundation of that fortress led to its complete and deafening collapse. The shadow architect, the brains of the operation. At the center of this complex web was a man who least resembled a drug lord. 45-year-old Paldeep Mahangar lived in a modest house in an unremarkable cul-de-sac, Willow Close, in the small town of Dale Abbey. His life was a model of anonymity. No sports cars at his doorstep, no gold watches on his wrist, no trace of wealth. He was an invisible man, and this very invisibility was his greatest weapon. Behind the door of his ordinary home, Mahangar transformed into the cold and calculating conductor of one of the most profitable criminal enterprises in the country's history. He wasn't interested in grams, but in bricks, kilogram blocks of cocaine that he ordered directly from suppliers in Dubai. He wasn't chasing fame or attention, he was chasing volume and weight. Using an encrypted EncroChat phone, which he believed to be completely secure, Mahangar coordinated every aspect of the operation. He was not just a boss, he was a CEO, a strategist, and the head of logistics. A clear hierarchy was established beneath him. Couriers responsible for transporting the product, cashiers managing the flow of money, and wholesale buyers who distributed the drugs further down the chain. There was no room for chaos or violence in his organization. Everything operated based on strict protocols, roles, and an efficiency worthy of a major logistics company. This faith in his own system, in silence and discretion, allowed his empire to flourish for over a year, until the very technology he trusted so deeply betrayed him. Corporate discipline, logistics, and finance. If Mahangar was the brain, then 41-year-old Jaswant Kajla from Coventry was the heart and circulatory system of the operation. He was the one responsible for ensuring the priceless commodity moved without interruption. Kajla was a master of logistics. He didn't just organize deliveries, he engineered entire systems that made them invisible to law enforcement. The routes were planned in meticulous detail, receiving the product in Luton, transferring it to distribution hubs in Derby, delivering it to buyers, and returning the cash through a tangled network of country roads, 24-hour gas stations, and deserted parking lots. Everything was scheduled to the minute, rehearsed to the point of automation. Ordinary cars, taxis, or rental vehicles were used for transport, arousing no suspicion. Couriers followed strict scripts, avoiding any risky maneuvers. If something went wrong, Kajla didn't panic. He would instantly reroute, find a replacement, and maintain the uninterrupted flow. Furthermore, it was Kajla who served as the liaison with the top echelon, the suppliers in Dubai. He organized trips for gang members to the Middle East, handling tickets, hotels, and ensuring a tight schedule of meetings was kept. This was no makeshift operation, but a full-fledged logistics firm, working 24/7 without days off or disruptions. Parallel to the movement of drugs was the movement of money, and this process was overseen by another key player, 32-year-old Manraj Johal from Luton. He was the chief financial officer of this criminal corporation. Johal never touched the product. His domain was numbers. He maintained meticulous spreadsheets that tracked every transaction, every pound of revenue, every expense, and every debt. This wasn't just bookkeeping, it was a complex system of financial management. When cash was returned from buyers, it wasn't simply counted. Each bundle of money was marked with a unique token code that linked it to a specific batch of cocaine and deal. If a shortfall occurred, Johal's system made it possible to instantly identify who owed what and how much. Through his encrypted phone, he reported directly to contacts in Dubai, providing precise data on sales and profit margins. He was assisted in this by his 26-year-old cousin, Nimrat Bahia. During one police raid, officers burst into a London apartment and found Bahia in the middle of his work. He was sitting in a room surrounded by mountains of cash totaling £530,000, which he was sorting and packaging. Discipline, accounting, and faith in secure phones were the foundation of their success and, as it turned out, the cause of their downfall. Every token, every number in the spreadsheet was a breadcrumb leading directly to them. The offices and wholesalers, the distribution mechanism. The syndicate didn't use dirty dens or stash houses, they had offices. 2 covert properties in Derby and Luton, disguised as ordinary apartments and commercial spaces. These were not just warehouses, but fully functional command and processing centers. The hub in Derby was managed by 33-year-old Manveer Singh. His task was to ensure the financial conveyor belt ran smoothly. Money was received, sorted into bundles, marked with tokens, and prepared for onward shipment. Work in the offices was a round-the-clock affair. One team handled cash intake, another its packaging. Each employee had a narrow, specific task and a strict protocol to follow. No idle chatter, no names, only batch numbers, token codes, and delivery times. Police estimated that a single office could hold between £1 and £2 million in cash at any given time. The clients of this network were not street-level addicts, but major wholesale buyers who purchased the product by the kilogram and had sufficient funds to pay up front. One of the most prolific was 36-year-old Michael Karim from Nottingham. He didn't just buy for himself, he supplied an entire regional network. Over the course of the syndicate's activity, he purchased at least 9 kilograms of cocaine. Unlike the organizers, Karim lived a lavish lifestyle. He spent huge sums on renting 46 premium vehicles, BMW, Mercedes, Range Rover, bought 2 luxury apartments, flew to Las Vegas for entertainment, and attended soccer matches across Europe. Investigators calculated that his personal profit from criminal activities exceeded £1 million. Other buyers, such as Joseph Davidson, Kelly Williamson, and Mohammed Shafiq, were more modest but also purchased kilogram-size batches, keeping the machine running. They didn't know the intricacies of the supply chain, but they knew the most important thing: it ran like clockwork, on time, with the correct weight, and without fail. And for more than a year, that was enough. The digital fortress that became a tomb. The EncroChat failure. All communication within Mahangar's empire was built on the EncroChat platform. It was a system of encrypted phones that its creators and users considered absolutely impenetrable to law enforcement. This confidence bred a fatal carelessness. In the EncroChat messages, gang members discussed everything: delivery addresses, sums of money, route details, personal problems. They sent each other photos without a second thought about the consequences. One photograph captured the interior of a house. Investigators later matched the pattern on the curtains to a real home in Derby. In another picture, a dog was visible in the corner of the frame, the very same dog officers found during a raid. The criminals didn't use complex codes or aliases. They spoke openly, trusting the technology. One of them even kept a detailed profit spreadsheet on his phone and sent it via EncroChat. They did not know that their impregnable fortress had already fallen. European law enforcement agencies, particularly the French gendarmerie, had managed to hack the EncroChat servers. All the information, every conversation, every message sent by the gang members was being copied in real time and passed to their British colleagues as part of a massive investigation, Operation Venetic. For weeks, the police watched in silence, gathering irrefutable evidence. The criminals continued their work, unaware that their every move was being monitored and that their own communication system had become their digital tomb. The end of silence, the hour of reckoning. By April of 2020, the police had a complete map of the criminal network. On one particular day, surveillance teams watched as a courier left a house in Derby carrying a large duffel bag. He calmly got into a car and drove away. The bag contained 7 kilograms of high-purity cocaine. His arrest was quiet and quick, without chases or sirens. The packaging and weight of the drugs perfectly matched the data from the intercepted messages. It was the final confirmation. Everything the police had been reading in the chats was real. From that moment, the operation to dismantle the network entered its active phase. Dozens of coordinated raids were carried out across the country. In London, police burst into the apartment where Nimrat Bahia was counting £500,000. In other homes, kilograms of cocaine and bundles of cash amounting to £40,000 were discovered. From Derby to Luton, from Coventry to Nottingham, the structure collapsed, not with a bang, but with surgical precision. The empire built on silence was dismantled, down to the last screw. Judgment Day. Sentences and consequences. In January of 2022, the sentencing began at Derby Crown Court. Prosecutor Gareth Wheatman described the gang's activities as an industrial-scale operation, and Judge Jonathan Bennett emphasized that he was not dealing with a street gang, but a highly organized criminal enterprise. The sentences had to reflect the scale of their activities. In total, 18 people were sentenced to a combined 167 years in prison. Paldip Mahengar, 45, the brains of the operation, received the longest sentence, 18 years and 3 months in prison. Jaswant Kajla, 41, the head of logistics, was sentenced to 15 years and 3 months. Manraj Johal, 32, the financial director, received 15 years and 8 months. Manveer Singh, 33, manager of the Derby office, was sentenced to 13 years. Michael Karim, 36, the wholesale buyer, was sentenced to 10 years. Joseph Davidson, 41, a distributor, received 10 years and 2 months. Mohammed Shafiq, 38, a courier who was also convicted of illegal weapons possession, received 12 years. Nimrat Bahia, 26, caught red-handed counting the money, was sentenced to 7 years and 1 month. Basharat Iqbal, 46, a taxi driver courier in whose home 3 kilograms of cocaine and £20,000 were found, received 7 years and 9 months. Banaras Iqbal, 44, his brother, who assisted in money laundering under the guise of his taxi service, received 4 years and 9 months. Other members who performed roles from cashiers to couriers also received significant prison sentences. The hierarchy they believed was invulnerable had crumbled to dust. Conclusion. The story of this cocaine empire is a cautionary tale about how the pursuit of absolute invisibility and a blind faith in technology can lead to a total collapse. They created a system devoid of the weaknesses of the traditional criminal world, but overlooked the fact that in the digital age, the most secure fortress can turn out to be the most vulnerable trap. Their own meticulousness, their detailed records, and their open conversations in a secure chat became a roadmap for investigators, leading them straight to the heart of their silent empire and bringing its existence to an end. They built their empire in silence, but it was their own words that buried them.